outside Washington.
This is the CBS Evening News. Bob Schieffer reporting. Good evening. The debate over abortion moved to the streets all over the United States today. Thousands of right-to-life protesters were arrested as they marched on abortion clinics in more than 30 cities from coast to coast. The protesters began assembling before dawn. In Pittsburgh, 600 people were arrested for blocking the doors of a downtown abortion clinic. They were charged with obstructing traffic. On the West Coast, 500 anti-abortion protesters marched in Sunnyvale, California. So did about 200 pro-choice demonstrators. There were 100 arrests there. In Providence, Rhode Island, 500 right-to-lifers clashed with an equal number of pro-choice protesters. Several police officers were hurt, 450 people arrested. Thousands of pro-choice demonstrators formed a chain in Michael Dukakis' hometown of Brookline, Massachusetts. At a rally, they were urged to vote for Dukakis to protect the right to illegal abortion. The nationwide demonstrations against abortion were coordinated by a group called Operation Rescue, and we have more on the organization and today's protests from James Hattori in Texas.
Stop the killing! Stop killing those babies!
On what was billed as National Rescue Day, pro-life demonstrators took their battle over abortion rights out of the political arena and into the streets. In Houston this morning, police arrested at least 22 Operation Rescue protesters. Some chained themselves to barricades in front of an abortion clinic.
It's on fire! We have stopped the killing in Austin, Texas today.
In Austin, 300 protesters blocked the doors and driveway of another clinic. Among those prepared to go to jail, an overdue pregnant woman who aborted a previous child.
This is my chance to say no. Women don't do it because it'll destroy you. It almost killed me.
Operation Rescue, a grassroots organization which embraces civil disobedience, began last spring and gained momentum during the Democratic Convention in Atlanta. The group claims thousands of its members have been arrested, most frustrated with lack of progress changing abortion laws. These tactics, they say, are more direct.
We are seeing clinics closed down for full days. Babies' lives are being saved.
But the number of abortions performed in the U.S. has remained steady, 1.6 million each year, more than in any other industrialized nation. Since legalization, the public has consistently supported abortion as an option in certain cases, like rape and incest.
Operation Rescue has likened its nonviolent tactics to those used by the civil rights movement in the 1960s. It's a notion pro-choice advocates strongly reject.
What we are seeing are the efforts of people who are very desperate, who have been unsuccessful, and are willing to try any effort at all to advance their agenda.
Nevertheless, by resorting to tactics so successful 25 years ago, Operation Rescue hopes to do something politicians and lawyers have failed to do: stop abortions. James Hattori, CBS News, Austin.
Former Philippines First Lady Imelda Marcos is leaving her Hawaiian home in exile tonight and heading for New York. She'll be arraigned Monday on federal charges of using looted Philippine government money to buy real estate and works of art. Her ailing husband, Ferdinand Marcos, will be arraigned at a later date. Well, coming up next on tonight's CBS Evening News, it's 10 days and counting to Election Day. And later in our Washington Notebook, a search for the humor in this presidential campaign.
I might even vote for Bush, but I'm undecided. I'm not excited. I'm not ignited.
Morning, Joanne.
This was approved, yes?
Right, and Steve knows about the change, the exclusion of the top 10.
This is my husband, Michael. He's under a lot of pressure, but now he's doing things differently. Like taking the stairs, eating more fruit, and cutting down on cholesterol and saturated fat. That's why I cook the foods he loves with Puritan oil. Puritan has no cholesterol and is 94% saturated fat-free. I've got an idea.
The health club before dinner. Great.
Michael is feeling wonderful. And I am too.
Puritan. Make it your oil for life.
Will people go for the taste of new Wheaton brand Triscuit just as much as regular Triscuit? It would so appear.
New Wheaton brand Triscuit.
You should have seen this Whirlpool cooktop a little while ago. My husband made chili all over. But with this smooth ceramic surface, it was so easy to clean. Heck, the way my Whirlpool appliances clean up, I feel just like June Cleaver.
Welcome to a room unlike any you've ever seen. A room where the light comes on automatically when you enter, then goes off when you leave. Where you never have to flip a switch, pull a string, or wish you had an extra hand. Every room could be this convenient if you add a First Alert sensor switch. It automatically turns the lights in any room on and off. Sensor switch from First Alert. Isn't there room for one in your home? Look for the complete sensor switch line.
If you're counting, it is the weekend before the election. And President Reagan voted by absentee ballot today at his mountaintop ranch in California. No surprises, he voted for Bush. While the president was voting, the candidates were campaigning, Bush by bus, Dukakis by plane. We start from the ground up and begin with Eric Ingberg, who's traveling with Bush.
This land is your land. This land is our land.
George Bush hopped a bus with Crystal Gayle and other country music stars to barnstorm 6 stops in Illinois. In a possible sign that recent Democratic tactics have had some success, the Republican today hit back hard, charging that Michael Dukakis is trying to divide the country, rich against poor.
We are not going to be divided by class. We are the land of big dreams, of big opportunity, of fair play. And this trying to attempt to divide America by class is going to fail.
Answering reporters' questions later on his bus, Bush made it clear he believes Democrats are trying to make political hay out of his privileged background.
He tried to go talking about my elitism and all that, resurrecting all this at the end. The American people are not going to be fooled by it.
As the motorcade rolled through the far suburbs of Chicago, Bush pulled out all the stops, even handing a $10 contribution over to a local charity.
Bush has been in Illinois 5 times since Labor Day. It is a high priority state for him, and one that's still listed in the toss-up category.
So Bush was even ready to call the freed whales to duty in the GOP army.
My only hope for those whales is they don't end up in Boston Harbor. They think they got troubles in Alaska.
Whipping Republican workers like a cheerleader, Bush spoke like no detail, no race is too small for his concern.
And I understand that here you got everything pretty well under control, except in the coroner's race. And so I would urge you to vote for Pat Bergman.
He finished out his tour in Chicago ethnic neighborhoods. Bush has already scheduled another Illinois trip for next week, a sure sign his own polls show the race is close in this big state. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Joliet, Illinois.
Michael Dukakis began his push for the final 10 days by drawing one of his biggest crowds ever today, and we have more on his day now from Bill Whitaker.
Hoping to harvest a bumper crop of farm votes, Michael Dukakis today added a touch of country to his basic message at what he claimed to be the largest political rally ever in South Dakota.
They want to help people who live high off the hog. We want to help the people in this country who raise the hogs. That's what we want to do.
Dukakis accused the Reagan-Bush administration of turning its back on this region battered by drought and recession. And he pointed to yesterday's decision not to press Japan to import more American rice as an example of Republican neglect.
We want rural America exporting rice and corn and grain and soybeans. We want our farmers to have a fair shake in the international market.
Disenchantment with Republican agricultural policies would seem to make the Farm Belt prime Dukakis territory. But even here, Dukakis finds himself fighting an uphill battle in the polls, and most states in the region have not voted Democratic in a presidential election since '64. Today, Dukakis staffers and Farm Belt Democrats insisted that, like the rest of the country, the tide is turning here.
Well, I think that what we're going to do is stick with the positive message. That's what's reaching the people.
I think the message is getting out. I think this campaign is getting beyond the 30-second media spots and the negative politics.
Johnson says the ticket's newly aggressive rhetoric and style are beginning to have an effect. Tomorrow, Lloyd Benson goes on the air with this tough new 5-minute ad.
I think you deserve a lot better than night after night distortions and lies on the evening news.
Today, Lloyd Benson cast his absentee ballot in Texas. That's one vote the ticket can count on. The Democrats wish they could be as certain of the farm vote. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Hey,
McElroy. I thought you were from Illinois.
I am.
Only guys from Kentucky do that with their shredded wheat.
I've been doing this since I was a kid.
Here's how we do it in Brooklyn. First, we break them in half, and then we mash them to a pulp. Add some milk, maybe a little fruit garnish.
Nabisco shredded wheat is great no matter how you eat it because it's nutritious whole wheat with no added sugar or salt.
What do the guys from California do?
They float them.
The new Remington Electroblade vibrating blade system has been an amazing success for those who prefer shaving with a blade. Electroblade's vibrating twin blades glide so easily you'll get the closest, smoothest blade shave you've ever imagined or your money back.
Hemorrhoids, they hurt, burn, and swell. Over the years, more doctors have recommended Anusol than Preparation 8 to relieve the hurting. Anusol is the word to remember for relief.
What are you doing at Dow these days, Peggy?
Well, right now I'm working in agricultural research, Grandpa. We're trying to help farmers find new ways to make every dollar work harder.
We want to keep this farm in the family a few more generations.
Pretty tough, isn't it?
You bet. So your dad and brother don't need all the help they can get.
And you can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
I won't let you down.
'Cause Dow lets you do great things.
With Israel's crucial elections only 3 days away now, Palestinians observed a general strike in the occupied territories today, and at least 25 protesters were wounded by Israeli troops. The strike marked the 32nd anniversary of a mass killing by soldiers of Arab villagers inside Israel. To the embarrassment of the Soviet Space Agency, the unmanned first flight of the new Soviet shuttle was scrapped today, less than a minute before blastoff. Barry Peterson reports.
It was glasnost gone sour, the once super-secret Soviets telling the world the launch was finally ready, then forced to tell the world it was delayed. The sort of egg-on-the-face public relations disaster that American space scientists know well. 51 seconds before launch, said the testing director, the cosmonaut escape tower didn't fall away. A computer shut everything down. Anxious ground controllers tried restarting the launch, but finally decided it was no go. The program has been plagued by problems and delays. Indeed, today's launch was supposed to take place months ago. And the Soviets have never quite made it clear how they'll use the shuttle, or even why they had to have one.
The Soviets themselves have gone now to build, after years of criticizing our shuttle as inefficient and wasteful and purposeless, have gone and built one themselves. You got to wonder what level of cosmic hypocrisy that reflects.
The $10 billion shuttle program was started long before the Soviet Union began to face up to its severe economic problems. The new Soviet leadership under Mikhail Gorbachev may no longer have the taste for spending the billions more it will take to deploy a shuttle fleet. The Soviet economy is badly strapped. Consumers face lines and shortages. This week, stores are out of razor blades, detergent, irons. Even food can be in short supply, sometimes rationed. And the Soviets already get plenty of political mileage the old-fashioned way, inviting foreigners to become cosmonauts for a ride in a space capsule. The most recent was an Afghan. The missions sometimes seem like one photo opportunity after another. The shuttle's problems are intensifying a debate deep within the Soviet space program. Some influential Soviet scientists saying that to go where no man has gone before might be better and less expensively done by robots, leaving man safely on the planet of his origin. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Moscow.
By the way, any outward resemblance between the Soviet shuttle and the U.S. model is purely intentional. But the similarity is only skin deep, and we have more on that now from Pentagon correspondent David Martin.
The Pentagon says it's no accident the Soviet shuttle and the American shuttle look like they came off the same blueprint.
Clearly the Soviets did in this area what they do routinely, which is to take advantage of technology developments that we've made, that they can get their hands on, to simplify their own development process and to save money.
However, U.S. experts say the Soviets have built a shuttle with a difference.
Well, on the surface, it looks similar to our shuttle, but the closer you look at their shuttle, the more differences you see from ours.
On the U.S. shuttle, the main engines are part of the orbiter. On the Soviet shuttle, the main engines are part of the launch vehicle. That means the launch vehicle can be used to carry other things than just the orbiter.
If they have something that's too big or too heavy to fit inside their orbiter's cargo bay, they just don't take the orbiter up. They leave it in the hangar that day. And instead they take the big space station component or whatever it is they want to put into space, and they attach that directly to the launch vehicle.
So why bother to build an orbiter at all?
One of the reasons that the Soviets wanted a shuttle is because the Americans had one. I think the Russians, in part at least, are playing keep up with the Joneses.
The question is whether in keeping up, the Soviets may actually have overtaken the U.S. in shuttle design. They may have copied the American model, but in the process, the Soviets built a shuttle which appears to have more flexibility than the U.S. model. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
The first meeting of a movement to honor and support the victims of Stalinism was held today in Moscow. Chairman of the movement is freed dissident scientist Andrei Sakharov. The main goal of the group is to build a monument to commemorate the millions who died in Stalin's purges. A U.S. official said today that the reported Soviet deployment of about 30 MiG-27 warplanes in Afghanistan may violate the Geneva troop withdrawal agreement. MiG-27s are suited for offensive ground attack operations. Soviet Union is pledged to act only to protect its own withdrawing troops from attack.
For every investment expert who says the market's going up, an expert says it's going down. If the experts can't be certain, what chance do you have? A much better chance if you invest in Nuveen for steady, tax-free income. Nuveen, it's the long-term investment of certainty in a climate of uncertainty. Nuveen, America's tax-free investments.
For more information, call your broker or financial advisor or 800-372-1500.
Looking for whole wheat total?
Or shredded wheat.
You'll need 12 boxes to equal the vitamin and mineral nutrition in just one box of Total. No other cereal has more.
I think I'll have Total, sweetheart. Total.
If it's whole wheat Total, it's Total Nutrition.
Believe it or not, these 3 prunes have more fiber than this entire bowl of bran flakes. Prunes, the high-fiber fruit.
I'm popping Vanish droppings and look so clean. It's a drop-in Vanish droppings.
Drop-ins.
Just pop a Vanish drop-ins in the tank to help keep your bowl clean and fresh for weeks.
Drop-in Vanish droppings. Splish splash, I was taking a bath. Long about a Saturday night. Gloved up, got a clog in my tub. But Liquid Drano fixed it up right.
Liquid Drano, the liquid strong enough to be called Drano.
Although George Bush seems to have a substantial lead in the polls, it does not appear to be having any effect on Senate races around the country. At this point, Democrats are expected to retain their majority in the Senate. And tonight we're going to look at 2 of the more interesting races. First, the race in Connecticut, which is a downright wacky quality about it, as a lot of Democrats are lining up to support the Republican, while a lot of Republicans are supporting the Democrat. Here's CBS News congressional correspondent Phil Jones.
Good morning to you. How are you, Lowell Weicker?
After 18 years in the Senate, polls indicate the Republicans' most liberal senator is an endangered species.
Lowell Weicker is like a big bear. On things that matter to him personally, he'll always growl. But sometimes, when it matters, he's sleeping.
Weicker is being attacked for missing hundreds of votes. Weicker says he was there for the ones that counted. And his Democratic opponent, Connecticut Attorney General Joe Lieberman, is attacking from the right. Lieberman sounds like he should be the Republican candidate.
I support the invasion of Grenada, the attack on Libya. I supported President Reagan for the Persian Gulf involvement. My opponent opposed all of those.
This race has produced some weird coalitions. Weicker is getting support from many Democrats and independents who admire his constant battle with the Republican right wing on social issues. On the other hand, Lieberman, the Democrat, has been endorsed by some conservative Republicans who are fed up with Weicker's liberal politics.
He's the number 1 horse's ass in the Senate, and after a while, you just want to close your eyes when Lowell Weicker speaks. And so, for reasons of political ecology on top of the 2-party system, we think it's time for him to go.
You choose in this world. You either have the Carpenters to endorse you or Buckley endorses you. Thank you for your endorsement.
Weicker is the first Republican in the state's history to be endorsed by the Connecticut AFL-CIO. And in the year of the dreaded L word, Weicker is quick to associate himself with liberals.
I've been thrice honored by the ACLU, once with its highest national award. Now, you'd think that I might try to sort of low-key that. Hey, I'm proud of it.
But the real issue in this campaign appears to be Weicker himself.
A lot of people don't agree with Lowell Weicker on many things, but they'll tell you he's the same today as he was last month, as he was last year, as the day that he walked into the Senate. With many voters still undecided, Weicker concedes the race is up for grabs, and he has hit the road fighting for survival. Phil Jones, CBS News, Hartford.
In its own way, the Senate race in Florida is just as odd as the Senate race in Connecticut. Florida is one of George Bush's strongest states, and the Republican candidate for Florida's open Senate seat is running a campaign that mirrors Bush's. Yet what seems to work in the presidential race does not seem to be making much difference in the Senate race. Victoria Corderi now with that.
Good to see you, sir. Nice to see you.
Though George Bush holds a commanding lead in Florida, the Republican Party has been pouring money and rolling out its heavy artillery in the state's tight Senate race. Conservative Republican Congressman Connie Mack is locked in a nasty contest with Democrat Buddy McKay over retiring Democrat Lawton Child's Senate seat.
Can we trust Connie Mack?
The tone of the campaign reflects that of the presidential race, where the issues are taking a backseat to negative campaigning.
Hey, Buddy and Mike, you're liberal.
But I expected the Democrats to nominate the most liberal candidate, and that, in fact, is what occurred.
Congressman McKay has been busy dodging the liberal label while trying to portray his opponent as too conservative for Florida.
This is really a choice between mainstream and extreme.
Those label-slinging tactics may be working for the Republicans on a national level, but not here in Florida. Democrat McKay entered the race late and is being outspent, but polls indicate he's slightly ahead. So far, George Bush's coattails are very short.
I don't think you're going to see a coattail effect in Florida. The voters are more discerning when it comes to a Senate race.
As Florida's population continues to change, so does its politics, making this Senate race too close to call. But what seems clear at this point is that the Republican momentum building in the presidential race is barely causing a ripple in the Senate contest. Victoria Corderi, CBS News, Miami.
And this is the night to set your clock back an hour for the end of daylight saving time. 2 a.m. becomes 1 a.m. as most of the country returns to standard time and we pick up an extra hour of sleep. It'll be back to daylight time again the first Sunday in April.
You've suffered through all kinds of diets and regimens, but if you don't get enough protein when you're dieting to lose fat, you might lose muscle. Protein can help you keep muscle while you lose fat, and Special K has the highest level of dietary protein available in a cereal. So one reason for including the under 200 calories Special K breakfast in a balanced diet is rather obvious. Special K. Keep the muscle. Lose the fat.
With low back pain, every step shoots pain. Up here. Know what helps?
Clinically proven Back Guard, a shoe insert. Watch how it absorbs foot shock to relieve low back pain.
Amazing. Something down here can help up here.
New Back Guard from Dr. Scholl's.
Will people go for the taste of new Wheaton brand Triscuit just as much as regular Triscuit? It would so appear.
New Wheaton brand Triscuit.
X-Lax presents some gentle guarantees. A feeling of freshness, of confidence, and the peace of mind that comes from the X-Lax guarantee. Taken at bedtime, X-Lax is guaranteed to work gently, effectively by 8 a.m. or your money back. So you can start the day feeling like yourself again. And that's a promise you can count on. X-Lax, guaranteed complete relief by 8 a.m.
Finally, does anyone have any fun in politics anymore? From our Washington notebook tonight, some thoughts about whatever happened to political humor. We begin our search as this year's candidates for the highest office in the land are in the midst of yet another discussion on the pressing national issues.
I'm not going to go down there and try to dump the sludge from Massachusetts off the beaches off of New Jersey.
George, Boston Harbor was polluted for 100 years. I'm the first governor to clean it up. No thanks to you.
When campaigns seem to turn on issues like that, no wonder cartoonists say they're having a hard time finding the humor in it. Pat Oliphant wonders if it's put us all in a sour mood.
I don't know what's happened to jokes. Jokes don't get passed around anymore in the country.
In the old days, people went to political rallies to be entertained as well as to be informed. You may have noticed the entertainment part of it has sort of dropped off.
You've seen the portraits of the Mayflower. My people are the ones waving the Bloomingdale shopping bags.
That's entertainment, Campaign 88 style. To be sure, there have been a couple of funny moments. Michael Dukakis may have looked like Snoopy, but seeing more than humor there, George Bush's people turned that ride into a mean campaign commercial.
He even criticized our rescue mission to Grenada and our strike on Libya.
Polls suggest that Bush has been helped by such ads, but they also show the barrage of negative advertising from both sides has turned off many voters, leaving the electorate in a decidedly unfunny and uneasy mood.
Many are still at large.
Humor and everything else takes preparation, and also an attitude, a feeling of comfort. There weren't too many people very comfortable with this campaign.
I saw one poll the other day that said if Bush wins, 1 million people will move to Canada. If Dukakis wins, 10 million people will move to Canada. Big loser in this race is Canada.
The only people who seem to be having any real fun this year are folks like Washington's Capitol steps.
Thanks for the memories. When my momentum lags, they tease me for my snags. They don't do that when Bush is at a factory making flags. So thanks for nothing at all.
In the last couple of weeks, there have been signs the candidates are trying not to take themselves quite so seriously.
The D.C. police wouldn't let me double park my tank, so I was a little late coming out here.
The good news for Bush and Dukakis, of course, is that people rightly recognize that being president requires a lot more than just being witty.
What's good for the country isn't good for cartoonists.
Forget that stuff. Just get up and talk like you're talking to a person. It might even work.
And in the meantime, count on the humor in this campaign to come from the outsiders, not the insiders.
On the 8th of December, I hope you'll remember, vote Georgie. So don't forget, December 8th, that's Election Day.
We like to end on a high note. I'm Bob Schieffer, CBS News in New York. Good night.
Sometimes it's hard to run with Danny. He's really got me in a mess. But Ron, by golly, sure stood by Ollie. So here is what I tell the press. Stand by your Dan. Say he's equipped to govern. I'm not like George McGovern, and also ran. This pretty man, although he's not a bright thing, has got a lot of right-wing fans.
Sometimes it's hard to be Dan's father. Although I know his grades were bad, this needy student was born real